Carry lost that all. Now I back the degrees. I'm a master, y'all. Yay. We're back, and this is Just Bounce. It's your boy, Diddy K, aka Diddy Kum Kum, the best thing since Epang Cocoa. And we're in the studio. Oh my gosh. I'm not even ready for this, so I know you guys are not ready for this. But first of all, I have Ifyok.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Immortal is here with me.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And of course, saving best for last. I have a WNBA legend, a former Nigerian player, the one and only Mfon Udoka.
Hello.
Welcome to the studio.
I'm back for more fun.
Yes, of course. And okay, well, of course, this is radio, so you can't see that most of us are probably sweaty here because we're actually at her camp in West Etam, where she has this for 8 to 18 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, could you tell us a little about the camp, or the foundation first, and then the camp?
Well, we started the foundation. One of my ideas was because we needed to grow basketball, and
Right.
I thought that was one of the easier ways. It's something that I can kind of control myself, and then hopefully we can raise funds and start building basketball courts and then expanding and growing the game that way. I'm still petitioning for an arena to be built here just because we need something indoor. They have a beautiful soccer facility, and I think where you build that beautiful soccer facility, there should be an indoor gym. That way, you never know, you can host international tournaments. We could host Afrobasket here if you have a facility that is up to par, and we don't even have an indoor one. Senegal is hosting the women's Afrobasket, and they just built a new facility out by they're expanding. They built it by their airport. It's new. It's brand new and beautiful. So if we could get something done like that here, I mean, it would bring the entire continent to Uyo, and I think that this is a place that people need to see because all we hear is Lagos Abuja, Lagos Abuja. And it's quiet here. It's a little less hectic, and I think it's one of the better places to host a tournament like that because you're not battling traffic in Lagos or sitting in traffic for 2 hours and trying to figure out, you have to leave at 4 a.m. You could be somewhere by 8, all that crazy stuff. So, it's a work in progress.
It's really refreshing to know because my partners here know that after every show we have here, I always put it out there that we actually need an indoor court.
Absolutely. And
we need to join the league. So it feels refreshing to hear from somebody else, someone that doesn't even live here to come and say that we need this because we actually do. Like she has already mentioned our governor actually was the sport governor of the year, I think 3 times in his last 4 years. So I mean, if he deserved it, but he could do more, and so we're requesting for this. So thank you for bringing this.
I think we could all do more as a state, and
of course.
We could also support like people like what she's doing, with the petition. So that's something to key into.
Unfortunately, and maybe not unfortunately, but what the sports, all the other sports get neglected because of soccer, and it is a reality that it is the most popular sport in the world, but on this continent, basketball is the fastest growing sport.
True. And
it's the one that's up and coming. It's the only thing left. This is the only area in the world that has been left untapped. The NBA has expanded. They've been in India because there were 1.2 billion people. They went to China because of the same thing. So the talent is not in Asia, it's in Africa. The potential is in Africa. They didn't find, I think they found one Indian player who I think was in the D League or G League for a while. Then there's Yao Ming and probably 2 other.
As well. Yeah.
There's an Indian guy who played on Sacramento.
The tall guy.
For like 13 seconds, right?
Yes. So they're trying, but the talent is not in Asia, it's in Africa, and the potential is here. And I think we as a nation and a continent need to get on board because we're behind right now. And again, things like facilities we don't have. We're lacking all these necessary resources to make the game what it is. But what we're not lacking is potential in people.
I was just coming to that because you played in the WNBA. You also played for Nigeria. So I know you played for the Sparks, but that was a short period, right? Where were you before the Sparks? Houston. That's the Comets?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. So you've seen the level of talent there, and you've had this camp for like a couple of days. That's this year. I know you were here last year, but you've had a couple of days. Do you see potential of the people here being able to make it to the NBA and WNBA?
There's always potential because you never know who's going to turn into what. If you looked at certain kids or certain players, let's take America for example. There's like a person like LeBron who we knew since probably 10 years old that he was a phenom and that he was going to make it. But then I would say there's people like my brother Ime Udoka who you wouldn't have thought that at the time, but he ended up being an NBA player. So you can't just look and say who's going to be what, because there's a lot of things that happen in life. You either you get caught up in drugs and gangs, or you get injuries, or you just don't have that drive and that work ethic to become a pro, even though you might have the tools, the athleticism. So it's not that easy to just say, this person is going to be a pro just because he's 6'10".
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it. What I do see is interest. I mean, we've got over 100 kids out there that are excited and want to play. Now, I think if we had even more advertising and more marketing, and I think we did a pretty good job this time of getting it out there. I mean, I think we would see even more. And the problem is we can't host them because we have one court and two baskets.
Yeah, gotcha. So before I move to I know Ifeok is itching to ask you some questions. For those that don't know, she's also the sister to Ime Udoka. He played for the Spurs while I was still a fan of the Spurs. He also became an assistant coach, but he's now, I've heard recently, he's now with the Philadelphia 76ers. So, but he couldn't be here, but he's part of this foundation, right?
Yes, he's in the background.
Okay, I want to first ask, like, you grew up in a house where, your brother played in the NBA and you played in the WNBA. Did you guys play one-on-one? Did you guys challenge each other?
You know what's funny? I never played against my brother.
No, come on.
And I'll tell you why. It's very interesting. I have an older brother. His name is James, and then there's me, and then there's Ime. We're all 1 year apart. So we grew up together, and your Nigerian father, the typical father, you go together and you come back together. If one comes separately, we're all in whooping. Okay, so we literally lived across the street from a park, and we would just go there and play all day, and then come back at night. There wasn't a basketball court there. Okay. We started playing baseball and t-ball. That's what we kind of start with when you're like 7 or 8 years old. We didn't really have soccer development at the time, but now for 7 and 8 year olds they start playing soccer. So we started playing t-ball, and then baseball, softball, and then when we get to middle school, I started playing basketball. And by that time, I was sick of my brothers. So I played volleyball, basketball, and then in the summers I played softball. So I really didn't play year-round early on, and they would just run up with all their friends and go play pickup ball. Okay. And I was never in that because I just didn't want to do it, and I played other sports. So growing up, we really didn't have that one-on-one thing going on. Later on in life, I mean, I was bigger than Ime until about 8th grade. So later on in life, we still never play one-on-one. And then even when we do try to mess around, men are so much stronger. That one small little bump, it's throwing me to the side.
Thanos.
But I will say, Ime and I worked out a lot together, like professionally, and trying to make it. And so we did eat, sleep, dream, breathe basketball for a really long time. And we were big on getting workouts in and rebounding and shooting and stuff like that. So that's what we did do, but it wasn't necessarily competitive.
I think I know why Ifeok asked that question. Earlier this week we're having a talk about the Millers, Reggie Miller and Cheryl Miller, and how we argued she might have actually been better than Reggie,
she said it on live TV.
I think she'll still say it till today, So I think I was looking for a little bit of that brother-sister rivalry.
It just wasn't with us, again, because I just didn't play with the boys outside. I did happen to be extremely tough and competitive, though, and so people always assume that I played with boys, but I didn't. It's just naturally who I am. I think it's part of it is just being Nigerian and being aggressive, and the other part is just again, being a girl in between two boys, kind of being tomboyish and not
Middle child.
Yes, middle child, but being a girl surrounded by two boys, not being allowed to slack, so to speak, because I would have to keep up with them, and I had to be tough because Ime was my little brat little brother. We were always getting into it, and
Into each other's face.
we would just poke each other and just, you know, mess with each other all the time. And then my older brother was just extremely chill. So he was extremely chill. Ime was very fiery, and then I was kind of in the middle of a little bit of both. So.
Alright, so let's leave out the boy talk. Now let's go to the national talk. You were the first player in Nigeria that took the female basketball team to the Summer Olympics in Athens. So that was a record for the men's basketball and the women's basketball. How did you feel being a pioneer of a group of athletes?
And the best player,
Yes,
by the way.
and the best player on that team for a long time.
It was something that I couldn't have ever imagined or dreamed of. When I showed up here, it was for the All Africa Games. It was right after I was done with playing with the Houston Comets. And when I showed up, I just didn't know what to expect, and it was very foreign because that was the first time I was in the country.
Yeah.
27 years old. I'd never been here before. I came here blindly. There wasn't anybody to pick me up at the airport.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh.
had traveled the world by then because I was playing professionally. But you know, they're always saying Nigeria's dangerous. Don't do this. Don't do that. You know, mind your purse. Don't trust anybody. You know, tell everybody you're married. Blah blah blah. So.
Were you married
my
at the
dad.
time?
No, that was my dad. My dad saying, "Don't talk to anybody. Tell them you're married."
True Nigerian.
Yes. So when I get to the airport, I'm in Abuja and there's no ride, and so I have no idea where I am, and I don't know who's coming to pick me up. So I'm just waiting around about 2 hours, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do? Do I get in a taxi? People tell me don't. So I just got in a cab, and I said, please take me to the customs office because I was looking for our president at the time, Mr. Buba.
Okay.
No idea where he is, no idea where the office is, and I have like these 2 huge bags with all my stuff in it. And I was so tired and I was so annoyed. And then I get to the office and I leave my stuff in the car. I knew I probably shouldn't have done that, but I was just like, oh, this taxi driver's pretty nice. I trust him, even though I probably shouldn't have. So I go upstairs and I'm talking to our president, and he's just like, oh, well, you know, where's your stuff? And I'm like, well, it's downstairs in the taxi. And he's like, oh, you left your stuff with this guy. You know, and so I was just like, oh my goodness, like what's gonna happen? We don't even know if he's gonna be downstairs. And he was. So I said, okay, well, this is gonna be a good thing for me, because if I had started off my first time in Nigeria, all my stuff got stolen, I probably wouldn't have come back. It would have ruined the whole entire experience.
Represents.
So everything was good from there. We ended up winning 3 tournaments that we had never won before.
Yeah.
We got the gold with All Africa Games. We won our first Continental Club Championship with First Bank Nigeria, and then we were able to win the AfroBasket to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So we did set some history there. We made history, male or female. The Olympics is a dream of every athlete. I could have never imagined as a kid. You always want to play in the Olympics, but you don't know how you're going to get there. And so that ended up being a dream come true, with a lot of bumps and a lot of drama along the way, as you know how things go here.
Right.
But incredible, really,
Yeah.
truly.
I think my entire household might know you because I first saw you when I was about 14. You know, that's when you were playing for Nigeria. I wasn't able to watch WNBA games at the time. I don't think they were televised in Nigeria. But I saw when you played, you know, for Nigeria, and at that time, well, that's when I said I became a fan. Now, but moving to the WNBA, which, like I said, I didn't really see. I think you ended your career early. Was there a particular reason?
No, you know, when I made it right out of college, and then I was released early, then I had a knee injury in 99, the summer of 99. Then I didn't resume playing until 2001. I sat out 2001. is
So
when I
3 years.
resumed. It's kind
Well,
of, it
six.
seems like it, but I warmed up with a minor league that we had in the States,
Okay.
and that was kind of I was slowly coming back.
So that was like a G League to you.
Yeah.
How
And-
did the how did the injury affect your career afterwards?
You know, it didn't in the sense of anything that I accomplished, because I accomplished all this stuff after the knee injury, but it did take a little bit of explosiveness away. I was never super athletic anyway, so I was a low to the ground player, so to speak. I didn't have a vertical jump and all that stuff. But what it does is it ends up wearing on you. And then something else breaks down, or you're compensating on your left side more, type stuff like that. But you know, it's the psyche of it all when you're trying to come back is the toughest part to get over, because you never know, or am I going to be the same, and you're never the same. They tell you, oh, you'll be fine, and, you know, but you're never the same. The fact is that they cut your body open and fix something that's not natural anymore, so you're never the same. But I was able to compete again at a high level. I mean, I played 7 more years after that. So, and I was able to, you know, take Nigeria to these various heights that we'd never been before. So, I mean, it had some moments, but I was able to be okay.
Would you say you got better after your injury?
Yeah, I would say so. Not only because of that, but just because you kind of hit your peak in your 20s, your late 20s. And I had expanded my game from when I was in college. I was strictly more inside in college, but I was able to kind of move to the perimeter later on. And you get smarter when you're older. There's things you just can't do anymore, so physically, so you got to use your brain a little bit more, and you get smarter. If you don't, then you won't succeed.
I can relate to this, but on the NBA scale, if you notice the Paul George injury, he became a way better shooter and a way smarter player before he got his explosiveness back, and now he's MVP. So I can totally relate to that.
All right, so before, we know it took you a lot of convincing to play for Nigeria, and I'm getting that off the record, off camera right now. So it's kind of funny, but I got inside sources that said it was very difficult convincing you to play.
Inside sources?
Yeah. So I want to ask you this, and I want to put you on the tight spot.
Wow.
You okay? Right now, there's a girl right now in female college basketball, Anike Ogumbolade. She's the fire of female college basketball right now, and we know that with your introduction into the national team, Nigeria went on to achieve great things. Would you want to put yourself in a position where you are able to convince other athletes to represent Nigeria, seeing that if we put all our talents together across all, okay, let me just say talents that are in different countries, do you think we could achieve greater things? And would you want to say that, yes, you want to be in the position to encourage and also bring athletes back to play for their motherland?
Believe it or not, it is not hard to convince anybody to play here if there's a possibility.
Okay.
It's really not. What's hard is when they get here and they see how jaga everything is. And how things are not
the structure.
Sometimes that's hard to convince them to say, look, let's deal with this. Yes, it is difficult. It's not the way it is in America, but the benefits of what can come out for it, the world exposure, the chance to play, compete for the Olympics, the chance to play for Nigeria and represent a nation, a people, and your family, and all those things. And to me, the biggest part of it that I think is really important is that it challenges you mentally, and you're either gonna be able to handle it or you're not. This place is not for the weak-minded. It's not. It just
super
isn't.
strong.
You have to be able to, and it's a life lesson. There are lessons you learn from playing for Nigeria, because you're like, if I can deal with that, I can deal with a lot. And believe it or not, people want to play for the country. They do. And there's not hard convincing, because they see like people like me, and then they see the success, and you can go. Now, not when I was playing, you couldn't research anything because they didn't have statistics, they didn't have streaming and all that. You can go watch and see, like, okay, well, we see what they're doing and how well they do. So it's not that hard, but sometimes you got to really talk people into staying, because they get here and it's frustrating and nothing's organized, and then there's no light, and then there's like there's all these things that happen. But again, it's for such a short time, and honestly, if you're a hooper, you want to play wherever. You're gonna play wherever, and it's not for everybody. Everybody's not cut out for it. But if you get here and you are strong mentally and you've got your teammates that help support you, it is by far the most fun I've ever had in my life, and I've been equally as angry every single time. So I'm super mad and I'm super happy because everything is so extreme.
All right.
Right.
So
Okay.
before you say anything, let me be more direct with the question. Now, I was trying to draw a line with what the Football Association faces, because we see that most players who are of Nigerian origin is very, very difficult convincing them to play for their fatherland. Now, ex-players come in, like Jeje Okocha, they come in, suddenly say they speak to these players. For example, Jeje Okocha had to convince his nephew, that's Alex Iwobi, to represent Nigeria. Now, what I'm really asking is this: if it comes to that, will you be willing to be that voice that convinces a particular talent overseas?
Absolutely. I did it in 2017 when we were competing for the cup in Mali.
Okay.
We had a camp in Orlando. It was so last minute. I mean, we had less than a month to prepare. And we had to call these girls in that had never played before or had a bad experience and say, look, like, come do this. Come help us win. Because then not only do you win, you're making, you know, you're making history. And then you get to
Right.
go play in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, that's a
Yeah.
stage where people dream of playing.
Some
and you
Hall
have
of
the
Famers
chance.
have never ever
Yes.
had the opportunity.
Yes,
Yeah.
never been Olympians. Like, you have a chance to do this, and it's exposure for you as a player, and it's just an experience that, again, not many people are lucky to have. So,
Mm.
you have to see the benefits, and you have to be able to deal with what comes, and that's where, when I was a manager, I tried to soften the blow to the team. You know, I tried to
Limit.
limit the stuff that they heard about or knew about, just because there was a lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, we get that. Of course, you need to do that. Speaking of Nigerians, especially the females now abroad, the LA Sparks, your former team, now has two sisters, the Ogumike sisters. For our listeners, if you don't know them, go Google these sisters. They were both #1 WNBA draft picks, and now they're together with Candace Parker. I've always been a fan of the Sparks, but I think this has just been like a stamp on it. Like, I'm now a lifer, so I won't jump like I jumped off San Antonio. But so players like this, like I think you kind of paved the way for them, and you know,
In a way, yeah.
because I really don't know any other Nigerian, especially female, that played before her, like in the WNBA. You know, I could be wrong, but I don't know any, and. So people like this, do you think that they would also still want to bring their talents? People like on this level, he mentioned a college player, and I think I've seen that once or twice on YouTube. But I'm talking about people at the top now, because it doesn't get higher than that really.
The problem is when they're young, they're identified and they're in the Team USA bubble, and they get them early. So once they're in
Right.
Team USA, they're not really
Catch them
allowed
young.
to do both.
Yeah.
So
That's a smart thing. That's a smart thing.
and that's because that's how the USA is structured.
True.
And that's why they're the best
That's
at
a fact.
basketball, because it is, they identify you from 12, 13, 14.
That's
So
a
they've
fact.
got under 15, under 17,
So,
and they're already in that Team USA database, I guess you could say. So there's a rule, I know, like once you compete for one, that you can't do both. But I think there's like a cutoff, like if you were young, maybe you were 15.
If it was the under 18 team, you cannot.
But
you cannot-
those two there are so in the mix of
Yeah, of course.
being on the senior national team. I don't think both of them will get to play though. I don't think I think Shanae is the one that's on the outside because Nneka has played before.
Yeah.
I think
Nneka
with
Ogumike.
Shanae and because they have so many great bigs already, Brianna Stewart, Deladon, and all these bigs that they have, I don't know if she'll ever crack that.
Yeah, I get you. Well, obviously that is a slight to Nigeria. We need to identify our talents early as
Early,
well.
yeah.
We can't let these people pick our people for us and see the goal that we have in our backyards.
Sure.
If you have one last question, we're about to go for commercial, so 50 seconds. Shoot.
Who has a better jumper between you and me?
Oh, I like that.
Ime. for
Oh,
sure.
come on.
I'll give it to
come on.
Ime. I'll give it to Ime.
Come on.
Because I'll tell you why. Ime grew up as a small, and he ended up having to play every position. I was
Okay.
always
Okay.
a big inside player, but I will say, as a high schooler, they all told all the people who watched us and knew us told both of my brothers, you need to play like your sister because she's tough.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'll give him that, but you know, for now,
You see that was sly. Way to get the credit back to yourself, though.
I set the pace.